Let's get to the next story. Next story is this. Salesforce's Marc Benioff says Google's Gemini 3, direct competitor ChatGPT, just blew past ChatGPT. I am not going back. Rob, I think you got a clip on this if you want to play. In regards to the Gemini, go for it, Rob.
That would be Marc Benioff in a gushing tweet last night. And with no offense to Benioff, he is great at selling a story, but does have a history of showing up late and very loudly to some of the hottest trades. Now, take his three biggest acquisitions, Slack, Tableau, Microsoft. All three were stuck near the peak of the SaaS multiple bubble. Remember, Salesforce's first AI brandings, they were around language like Copilot and Einstein. Only after agents have become a buzzword in Silicon Valley did he go all in on it, joking that he would rename Dreamforce Agentforce. That was in 2024. And in case you forgot, he was also in on the metaverse, pushing Salesforce as a trusted enterprise metaverse partner in 2021 and 2022. He even launched NFT Cloud in 2022, which did not age well. So his praise, guys, for Gemini might not be the early adopter signal that Wall Street thinks it is. Inside the AI ecosystem, this shift to Google has been happening for months. Benioff's post is hitting at the narrative going mainstream.
Rob, can you do me a favor? Can you, while I'm reading this next part here, pull up the two charts that Brandon was talking about that he sent to us? So this is what he said. He said, holy shit, Benioff on X. I've used ChatGPT every day for 3 years, just spent 2 hours on Gemini. I'm not going back. The leap is insane. Reasoning, speed, images, video, everything is sharper and faster. It feels like the world just changed again. This is what he had to say. And then, while you're going through some of the other stuff, Sam Altman, CEO of OpenAI, Google's biggest rival in AI race, congratulated the company on Gemini 3 launch, posting on X, looks like a great model. Former Tesla AI director Andrei Kropotkin said on X he had positive early impression of Gemini 3, calling it very solid daily driver potential and clearly a tier 1 LLM. Stripe CEO Patrick Collison also waiting on posting on X, Gemini 3 built an interactive web page summarizing 10 breakthroughs in genetics. Tom, you used Gemini, you came back, and you were extremely ecstatic about it. What is the biggest difference between Gemini, Perplexity, and ChatGPT?
Well, what I discovered over the last several weeks, because I use all three. I use Perplexity, also use Julius, by the way, and I use ChatGPT and Gemini. And I have ChatGPT and Gemini kind of side by side because I'm very interested to see which is which as we look at agents for our business and things like that. And because I want to be in the headwaters of it. And I started noticing, I says, wow, that's better context. Wow, that was a little bit, wow, that was quicker. And sometimes I'll do them side by side. So I'm only limiting bandwidth because I got two browsers open and I'm sitting there putting them side by side, or the desktop app. And so I noticed it. And so what is happening is this is the same thing that was happening when Intel was in a war with AMD on processors, and our processor is now, 8 gigahertz, 16 gigahertz, 64 gigahertz, 4 cores, 7 cores, and AMD and them. So you would go into Best Buy and there'd be a sticker on there, fastest processor yet. And so people have been accustomed to technology, to having these leaps come through. And it's just like TVs, HD, now 4K. Oh, wow, 4K is so much better than HD. And that's what we're having. Competition is causing Google to say, we are the big dog and we are driving hard. And ChatGPT's lead caused Google to say, hey, if you want to win the championship, you got to beat the champion.
Yeah.
And so I think it's as simple as that. And then Google put a lot of its brain power behind it.
Why do you use all three of them? Why do you use all of them?
Because I want to see the comparisons between them and I want to understand it. And each one of them does things, a little bit differently.
So can you share with us when you say you use all three? So do you ask the same question, the same prompt, and put it in all three and measure them against each other? Is that kind of how you do it?
Yeah, well, I will do it that way. And then I'll ask Perplexity for article indexes. And Perplexity's got this amazing way to throw out a ton of articles on it. So I'm not reading the synthesized part of it. I read the synthesized, and then I read the articles. Whereas ChatGPT
Give us a prompt.
Gemini...
Give us a prompt.
So I might, Fed. I would say, ask ChatGPT, and then I ask, Gemini, saying, what are the consensus odds or feelings about the next head of the Fed and whether there's going to be a rate cut in December? Because you can give them complex So then it goes, du-du-du-du-du. And both Gemini and ChatGPT will give you summaries really quick. I'll go into Perplexity and I'll get more of an index on the back. And I look there. Okay, that's The Economist. That's Financial Times. That's a journal. Okay, I got some heavy hitting publications who know what they're talking about or are leaning this way. And so I kind of look at it that way. Now, if I'm going to look at numbers, I'll throw numbers into Julius and I say, will you put these government numbers in here and tell me what you think, was going on with these Fred numbers and stuff. And then you'll have Julius go, spin that around and give it to you in Python if you want. But that's how I use it.
Rob, do you have it right now?
I have all three up. I have Gemini, ChatGPT, and Perplexity.
And so what are you asking?
The same thing Tom said. What are the consensus odds or feelings for the next head of the Fed, and if there will be a rate cut
Can
in
we just
December?
go for it, Rob? Thanks for doing that. Just press, every single one of them. Let's see what happens. So Gemini is the one you just did. The middle one is ChatGPT, and then is the last one Perplexity?
Yes.
Okay.
See Gemini, see how fast it was already going?
Yeah.
Yep. So let's see what it says. Rob, can you get rid of that blue on the middle one? Okay, there you go. So next eventual chair, okay. Keith exit, okay, boom.
And go to the bottom of Perplexity.
That's as far as it'll let me go.
No, there's is that a 10 or a 12 right there? See at the bottom right
Yep.
there.
Oh, there
See?
you go. 10
So now I can go to the 10 sources really fast and it'll tell me instantly what it's.
And what is it telling you? It's just giving you the main subtitle of what it is?
Where it
Correct.
pulled
And
from.
if I see in there that there's 3 very average websites or things basically it tells me the quality of the data
On
it's
one
pulling.
page. That's great. So that's fast. That saves time. And then so ChatGPT does what? ChatGPT actually breaks it down for you. Go a little bit deeper. What are the odds of a rate cut in December 25? 75 to 85% is a rate cut. And then he gives the odds, and it gives you the source where it's coming from, CBS. And then why there's still big uncertainty. My read.
This is the ChatGPT now synthesizing it.
Go a little bit lower. And then the sources that it gives you, it just looks different. But it gives it to you as well, the sources. Right, that it's using. Okay, and then let's look at Gemini. So we saw the speed with Gemini was faster.
Much faster.
So the other contenders, names, Christopher Waller, these are potential replacements for Jerome Powell.
By the way, he's got it's got Hassett at the top of that, and I happen to think that's correct from some people we spoke to.
Yep, likelihood of a December rate cut, 25 basis point, estimated to be 75 to 80%.
Which wasn't the case a week ago.
So which one would you rather, like Brandon, you're looking at this, which of those three, do you see a massive difference between the three?
On this example, no, but I haven't used Gemini yet, but just the fact that the word of mouth buzz is that so much better now, I'm definitely going to start checking it out. I mean, the biggest deterrent for Gemini at first was that kind of woke thing they did for a while where they had those goofy pictures that were unrealistic historical things where they were trying to be diverse. So I didn't take it seriously at first because of that. But this is what we were talking about a couple weeks ago where Google, it felt like I was wondering why the stock price was still at an all-time high after that story came out where they were down from 99% search traffic down to 90%.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a feeling something must have been going on. The market maybe knew that they're going to launch this because this saves them, I think. I think the future of online searches is going to be with the model like ChatGPT, Gemini, that type of model. So if Gemini is better than ChatGPT, then Google saved itself from losing that online ad revenue.
Paul, what do you think?
I'm kind of split on where these large language models are going. We use an LLM right now to track sentiment, mostly in the finance side. And we're finding a lot of inconsistencies, so there's always a back check on it. I'm interested in Benioff why he's choosing Google Gemini over his partnership with OpenAI already. And I know there's a little bit of contention between Sam and him, but at some point, we're probably going to see 1 or 2 winners on this. I'm still testing everything from Claude, SuperGrok, obviously Perplexity. I use Gemini slightly. OpenAI I very rarely use just because of in my opinion, the quality of context that we've seen come out of it, not as good. But that was about a year ago. We haven't seen any of the updates lately.
Yeah, I wonder because when you look at the market, this is generative research. This is what right now. OpenAI still has it. 12 months ago, they were 90% of it. 6 months ago, declining. 3 months ago. And who's the red? Gemini's getting bigger and bigger. Yellow is who? Yellow's kind of getting
Meta.
flat.
Oh,
DeepSeek.
Meta.
And then Grok is somewhat there. And then where is Perplexity? light blue. So is it fair to say it's OpenAI first, Gemini 2, DeepSeek 3 competing with Perplexity? Is that a fair assessment to put those as a top 4? That's what I would see.
Yeah.
But the market share is coming down, and OpenAI AI's got the early adopters advantage. But Tom, you seem like you want to say something.
There's one quick summary here. Most of us are using this right here in terms of a complicated analysis search. We want to search for something, but we want analysis. That is only the tip of the iceberg. Really, what Benioff is talking about, now he's got this partnership with OpenAI, is who uses which market to power the agents that are inside their software that are doing advanced tasks for you. And so it's going to be back to my point about Intel or AMD chip, which is faster and which is better. And this was all the discussion of Apple with Tim Cook's retirement. A not so subtle point was in that is that Ask Siri is not nearly as advanced even as the least of the AI models.
Yep.
And Google has not been shy about poking at Apple because of Android. And Apple, Pat, has not successfully picked a permanent high-end dance partner to be the engine of the future for their AI. And they've actually done a poor job. So it's who's powering your agent and your tool set that you build, not just which is the fastest and best for analytical search.
That's a good point. And by the way, go back to that Kalshi thing you had up, Rob. Take a look at this. Best AI at the end of 2025. Kalshi, 83%, Grok 9.
Chat's not even on there.
Yeah, Claude is at 5. That's interesting.
And this isn't market share. This is $9.7 million wagered $1 at a time on what they feel the leader is going to be. Similar to when Kalshi does elections. It's not who you're voting for. Who do you think is going to win in your city or state?
What is winning?
Well, if you ask,
Define win.
Well, if I'm in California and you say, who do you think is going to win the state of California election? I was going to say begrudgingly Kamala Harris. But if then in front of Walmart you say, hey, I'm an independent pollster from wherever, from Siena, who are you going to vote for? That's different. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
And it turns out that the pulse of the crowd on who do they think is winning or who do they think is ahead has proven on services like Kalshi to be more accurate than the polling of what do you use. And so this says that apparently right now people are saying, hey, I think that one's going to be the best one. That's the feeling of the mob.
Well, Chat's not in a position of strength financially, though. So does this kill them in a couple of years if they start losing market share at this rate? Because, they're operating at kind of a loss right now with how much they're having to invest.
They just have such a massive momentum ahead of the game. That's what they have. It doesn't mean they can't lose. I don't know if just from that search we did, I saw a major difference between Gemini and ChatGPT versus others. I don't know that. Is it a 90% difference? No. Is it a 20% difference? Maybe. Is it an 8% difference? Probably. Is that 8% difference gonna force OpenAI to improve even more? Yes. So one moment you're like, oh, that's it. Google's gonna be done. No, Gemini, oh my God, ChatGPT is gonna be done. Whatever update they're doing, these guys are brewing their next 3 updates that's going to come, and it's going to go like this. I think it's going to take about 5 years for us to kind of realize who's going to be the King Kong of this, and it's very, very early for this. I think so. Very early for this.
That's why Eric Schmidt says, you have no idea what's coming.
Yeah.
And he had that quote just in the last 2 weeks.
I believe it.
I believe him too. I think that's a very accurate market assessment.
You look at some comparisons on this. When I was an early young engineer in the pretty much the entry of the internet, there was a couple of first movers on the web. Alta Vista was one of the first.
I remember Alta Vista.
Pre-Google. They lost their market position. So it's not necessarily an automatic slam dunk for OpenAI. And I think now with the pressure you've got, the other advantage that I think Sam has is he's got Jensen in his back pocket, which is, that's going to be the killer app for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Alta Vista bought a company who was a friend of mine back in the day, shopping.com.
Yep.
And back in the day, shopping.com was like the place to go. When is the last time, folks, you went to shopping.com? Not shopping.com sold to
That's
Alta Vista.
Amazon.
Yeah, for I think like 331 million. Brandon, final thoughts. We're going to the next story.
Yeah, interesting thing though. Yeah, you bring up NVIDIA. The Gemini's not using the GPUs from NVIDIA. They're using, I think it was a TCUs or a different acronym type of chip. So they're not dependent on the NVIDIA chips the way that everybody else is. So I thought it was interesting that they're using a whole different thing than where everybody else is fighting over for to build it.
2026 is around the corner. And for some of you guys that have a dream, you have a vision, you have something that you get excited about, this is something I want to share with you that I was excited about. For 3.5 years, I kept telling my kids, one day, I kept telling my wife, one day. And it all starts like this with a decision and a plan. I want you to watch this video. Go ahead, Rob. So I want to show you something. For 3.5 years, I would drive past this street and I would look at this property, 11 acres on the airport, one of the last properties of its kind. I said, one day I want to own this property. We eventually bought it. When we did, there was nothing here. I said, I want to build a soccer field here. Boom, we got a futsal soccer field. This hangar here, I said, you know what? For election night, why don't we do a live event? This turned into an event. The biggest live stream worldwide on YouTube on election night. 2,000 people were here. I said, let's take that hangar on the other side. Let's turn it into a gym. Basketball, jiu-jitsu, weights. Boom, now it's a gym. Let's take that upstairs, which was a 2-bedroom for the pilots. Let's open it up and fit 51 employees there. Boom, we have that now. I got a bunch of other things to tell you about that we got going on here, but everything started with a plan. If you're watching this yourself saying, Pat, I got big plans as well, I host an event called the Business Planning Workshop. If you haven't yet registered, but you got big plans, click on a link below, get registered. I will see you there. And by the way, keep this in mind, guys. The next 72 hours, it's estimated that people are going to spend a ton of money on Black Friday on many different things. Spend is one thing. Invest is another one. If you got big plans for 2026, invest into yourself. Go register for this. I'll see you December 12th to cover a 200-page manual so you can write a plan going into 2026. If you enjoyed this video, you want to watch more videos like this, click here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click here.